just starting 2025 with a 5-star book. I do not understand why this book is as popular as it is, okay? I just don't. Hey, how's it going? My name is Gabby. Welcome back to my channel, and today we're going to be doing a very exciting reading vlog because I'm going to be reading some of the most popular books of 2024 according to Goodreads. This is a video that I have done once in the past, so I will have that previous time linked down below, but I really did want to make some Goodreads related content this year because there were so many nominations at the Goodreads Choice Awards that I was actually really excited to read and that I hadn't gotten around to yet. And so I thought it would be fun to read 4 books for this video. Some of these books were winners of their categories and some of these books were in like 2nd or 3rd place of their categories, but they were just books that I had on my TBR that I was curious about. So 2 of the books that I want to read for this video came from the fiction category. The winner of the fiction category was actually The Wedding People, which ended up being one of my favorite books that I read last year. So I was really happy and really excited to see The Wedding People win this category, but in 2nd place, we had the book Intermezzo by Sally Rooney, which is a book that has still been on my TBR, and I was actually hoping to get to this before the end of 2024. So I thought, why not include it in this video? This is a Sally Rooney book that is so freaking popular. I feel like Sally Rooney as an author is just really popular in general. And to be honest, I haven't had the best luck with Sally Rooney in the past. I think I've only tried to read 2 of her books, and I think I DNF'd both of them. I don't know what it is about Sally Rooney's writing style, but sometimes it just doesn't really work for me. But also, it's been so many years since I even tried to pick up a Sally Rooney. I think the last one that I picked up was like Normal People, and it was probably back in like 2018. So it's been so many years. I thought I would want to give her another shot with this one. And this one has been a really loved book of 2024. I've noticed a lot of people had this one in their top favorites of the year. And all I really know about this is that it's a fictional story that follows these 2 brothers. And I think they recently have lost their father. So it's kind of them dealing with the grief of losing their father. And then the 2nd fiction book that I wanted to include from this category is the book that got 3rd place, which is this one called Welcome to the Hyunam Bookshop. And this is one that I've had on my radar for quite some time. This one just sounds like it's gonna be right up my alley because it sounds like it's kind of one of those like cozy kind of character-driven stories where we're just following this person who owns a bookstore in South Korea. One of my friends, Sydney, actually just had this as her #1 favorite book of 2024, so you could say I'm definitely even more intrigued to read this after that. I also just wanted to note that my favorite book of 2024 was actually 4th in the category of fiction. So like if there's a good chance that I can end up liking this entire top row of fiction books, that would be amazing. The 3rd book that I'm planning to read for this video is going to be The Ministry of Time, which actually ended up winning the sci-fi category on Goodreads. This is a book that I've been curious about, you know, for quite some time, ever since it published early last year. I've been hearing such great things about this book, and all I know about it is that it involves time travel. I think there's this guy from like the 1800s and he travels to the present day, and then I think the person that we're following, she like works for the Ministry of Time. I've been really eager to pick this one up, and if you were wondering, I think the only other book that I've read in this sci-fi category is Annie Bot, and Annie Bot came in 3rd place, and I really enjoyed Annie Bot as well. And then I did decide to read 1 book from the mystery and thriller category, but I didn't have many options, to be honest, because out of this thriller category in the top 10, I've read all of them except for 2 or maybe 3 books. The book that ended up winning the thriller category is The God of the Woods by Liz Moore, which I actually ended up DNFing last year. I wasn't the biggest fan of this one. And then in 2nd place came First Lie Wins, which I also was not a big fan of this book. I gave it 2 stars. And so in 3rd place, we have The Boyfriend by Frida McFadden. So this is the one that I decided to read, even though I know that this could be a mistake to read Frida McFadden, you know, because she's just known for having these thrillers that are just not great. I mean, a lot of people clearly do love them, but she just has this reputation of having these thrillers that are just pretty average or like pretty mid. I don't know, but you know, it's been a while since I've read Frida McFadden. I actually looked and I've only read 2 books from this author. The Boyfriend, you know, it got so many votes in this category. It came in 3rd place, so I thought, let's just give it a shot. This book is available on Kindle Unlimited, and I was able to get the audiobook from my library, so I was like, okay, stars have aligned in the universe to get me to read this one. So we're gonna read the new Frida McFadden, so pray for me. I'm actually filming this intro after I've already finished reading all of the books, and let me tell you, this vlog was absolute chaos, because in this vlog, I had a 5-star new favorite, I had a 1 star, and I had a DNF. It could not have gotten off to a crazier start for this year, so let me send you back to about a week ago when I started on the first thing. Hello, hi, I wanted to check in for the first update for this vlog because I have started listening to the audiobook for Welcome to the Hyunam Bookshop. Last night I got about like 33% of the way through this audiobook, and I've been already loving it so much that I literally downloaded the book on my Kindle just so I can start highlighting the things that I'm loving in it. This is one that's kind of like taken me by surprise a little bit because all I knew about it was that it was going to be like a fiction book that's like about a bookshop, and that's kind of all that I've heard about it. And like, oh my gosh, there's something about the writing in this book that is so lovely and so comforting already. And the story is kind of feeling like one of those books that doesn't really have like a strong plot, or like there's not a lot happening in it. We're just is following this character who opens this bookstore, and she feels like that's her thing in life that she really wants to do, is she just wants to make people happy and own this bookstore to create like a safe environment for people, you know? And it's interesting because in this story, we not only follow from her perspective as like the owner of this bookshop, but we do follow from the perspective of this other guy that she like hires as a barista to work in the bookstore. There's just been so many amazing quotes throughout this book already about like what it means to be a book lover, and like really nostalgic kind of things too, like when she says reading in the empty bookshop brought back memories of her childhood and she smiled. Books welcomed her back with open arms without judging the person she'd become and accepted her for who she was. And like so many great quotes about like the feeling of like being understood by a book and how significant that feeling is, when it says she didn't always know what exactly she was looking for when she turned the first page. Sometimes she was several chapters in before she went, this is what I'm looking for. And she wanted stories of people who walked away from their lives, whether it was for a few days or forever. A myriad of reasons and backstories, but they had one thing in common: their lives changed from then on. It's just so beautifully written, and there's something so cozy and like comforting about this writing style, reminding me a lot of the storied life of A.J. Fikry, actually. Like there's something about the writing. I think it's because there's so much talk about like owning a bookstore and like the coziness that comes with owning a bookstore and like the love that these characters have for books. Like it's definitely reminding me a lot of this one, which is amazing, you know, because this is like one of my top favorite books that I read last year. So like the fact that this book is already giving me those kinds of vibes is amazing. And there's a lot of really like thoughtful things in this book too, like when these characters are talking about like what is the meaning of life. You know, when they say meaning, where can you find meaning? In love, friendship, books, bookshops, it's not that easy. There's also these really good conversations about how there's this like pressure in society, and especially probably, you know, in South Korea, there's a lot of pressure to like get into a good school, and how like as long as you get into a good school, that's going to set you up for having a good life, or what society thinks is like a good life. There's also a lot of conversation about like living a life that you don't even know if you want for yourself, but it's what society has told you, like this is what you should want, or like this is what living good looks like for most people, and how hard it can be to try to figure out what you want in life, and how like we prioritize our career over anything. And like as long as you have a good career and that your life like looks good from the outside, then like that's what people expect. Like when these characters are talking about like everything that I've done in my life is only for the purpose of getting a job, or when she says somewhere in me, in my heart, there must have been a time when I enjoyed what I did, right? Or is my whole life a mistake? Oh my god, there are just so many beautiful quotes throughout this book already that it's just hitting me right in the feelings. I'm just so impressed by the quality of writing in this book, and also the way that I'm just like instantly connecting with these characters and the writing style. I already just feel so much for them, and there's something so like cozy and comforting about the writing, and I think that has a lot to do with the fact that it's mostly taking place like in this bookstore, you know? It's just reminding me like why I love reading in the first place, which is such an incredible feeling. I really love when books can give me this feeling, and I think that's why I like to seek out books like this, you know, that take place in a bookstore. There's something magical about them. So I am just really loving this, like even more than I thought that I would. I think I'm gonna continue listening to this one on audio today. I do plan to go to the gym in a little bit. I do have to edit a video right now really quick before I go to the gym. Then hopefully I can go to the gym, listen to some more of this on audio, and I will update you with thoughts when I have more thoughts. But so far it's going very well. It is many hours later, but I wanted to update you because I just finished reading Welcome to the Hyunamdong Bookshop. And like, holy shit, am I starting 2025 with a 5-star book? I think I am. Oh my god, I loved this so much. This was actually a really surprising read for me. Like, I almost feel like this came into my life at the perfect time. You know, because in the month of January, like very soon, I'm gonna be turning 30. And I feel like in 2025, I'm gonna be going through a lot of really big life changes. You know, like there's gonna be a lot of things happening for me this year. I think the thing that's so comforting about this book is the discussions about how like nobody really knows what the fuck they're doing, or like nobody knows how to define happiness, or like what is the meaning of life. Nobody fucking knows. Like we're all just doing our best and like trying to figure things out as we go. And like there's something very comforting about that, because those feelings can be very like isolating. And like what I'm about to say is gonna sound so dramatic, but I really feel like this is one of those books that can almost like change your perspective on life. And I know that sounds very dramatic to say, but like I genuinely think it's so true. Like, after reading this, I feel the same way that I felt after reading like The Storied Life of A.J. Fikry, which was like one of my favorite books that was like about, you know, like life. Bookish people can like impact your life and like why we love reading in the first place. I feel like this is really like a story that's about human connection. And like there's so much great conversation. It's almost a little like on the nose sometimes, like so much conversation about like, you should have more to your life than just your career, or like there should be things outside of your career that make you happy. I mean, with quotes like this, when they said, if you're unhappy or unsatisfied with your work life and each day is spent in meaningless misery, it's time to look for something else. Why? Because we only get one shot in life and we're living it now. And then with quotes like, a life surrounded by good people is a successful life. It might not be success as defined by society, but thanks to the people around you, each day is a successful day. Like, is that not so fucking beautiful and like so true? I think it's so easy for us, you know, as humans to get so obsessed with what we're supposed to be doing, or with what society thinks that we should be doing, or like we should reach these different things, hit these different marks by a certain age, you know, like be married or have children or have the career of our dreams or do all of these things. There's a time in your life where you're expected to achieve certain things. And I just love the way that this book talks about how like everybody's just trying to figure out their shit. And I just love how this book addressed those things in such a thoughtful way. I mean, gosh, I really, part of me wishes I like bought this book physically, because I would just be tabbing the absolute crap out of it. Like this would probably be one of my most annotated books of all time, because the amount of quotes that I want to read you right now is ridiculous. There are so many conversations about happiness and like what does it even mean to be happy, and like what even is the meaning of life. It kind of reminded me of Happiness Falls by Angie Kim in that way, when they were talking about like the happiness theory in that book. God, one quote that was like related to happiness really spoke to me as a Capricorn. Like I felt so called out by this when he said, instead of happiness, he spent more time thinking about productivity. To him, a happy life was perhaps a life where he used his time well. And I was like, holy shit, I feel so seen by that. Because I've always been the type of person that really like thrives on productivity, and like I feel my best and like my most content when I'm being productive. But then like, what does that say about me? There was a lot of conversations, you know, about how obsessed our society is with work, and how much time and energy we put into our jobs and our careers. How much time is really like our own time. When you have thoughts, just hold on to them and see where they take you. And as time passes, you'll find out if you were right. Never decide right at the start if something is right or wrong. Which I think is so, you know, insightful and like such a great reminder to like stay open-minded to things that you don't understand. And like this quote, my heart still flutters at the word dream. A life without dreams is as dry as a life without tears. God, dude, there are so many beautiful quotes. I think this book has such a great reminder, you know, to just like live in the moment. And like we only get one fucking life on this planet, you know? So like you should try to enjoy yourself as much as you can while you're here, because we only get so much time. And like we're all chasing, you know, this idea of happiness as if that's like a state that we can just reach one day, when in reality we should be trying to find the little moments throughout our day that can make us happy. God, I sound like a fucking Hallmark movie or something right now, but I swear to God, this book is just so beautiful. Like how can I not give this 5 stars? I already feel like this could be like on my favorites list of 2025, which is crazy to say because this is like the first book that I'm reading for 2025, and yet I already know that this is a book that has like really moved me. I'm gonna be thinking about this book a lot. So like, holy shit, I was not expecting to kick off this video and like this year of reading with such a freaking banger. Oh my gosh, if you haven't read this book, I highly recommend. It is just so thoughtful. It's like, it's slow burning, you know, it's a very slow story. There's not a lot of plot, but like it's so thoughtful and it's so inspiring. Oh my god, I could rave about it all day. I loved this. 5 stars. Wow. Anyway, I will update you once I've started on the next thing for this vlog, but now I'm concerned, you know, because like how is any other book gonna live up to this one?
So
Hello, I wanted to update you because I have started reading The Boyfriend by Frida McFadden. I am listening to this one on audio. I was able to get the audiobook checked out from my library, but then I also realized that this one is available on Kindle Unlimited. So I'm kind of like following along with the Kindle, but I'm mostly like listening to it on audio. By the way, look at how cute. My sister got me a clear case for my Kindle, so I ended up putting stickers on the back. And most of these stickers are stickers that my sister has actually like drawn herself. You know, my sister is an artist. If you didn't know, I will have her Etsy shop linked down below. But I did put some like Winterween stickers on here, like the little ghosty from Winterween. And then I also had a bunch of stickers from Wicked because my sister just made a bunch of new Wicked stickers too, which are so freaking cute and I'm obsessed. But anyways, so The Boyfriend is one that I had, you know, significantly low expectations going into because it's Frida McFadden. I don't know, I haven't heard the best things about The Boyfriend, but you know, the fact that it got rated so highly on Goodreads, like there's gotta be something here, right? So in this story, we're following this woman named Sydney, and right at the start of this book, she's going on this date with this super creepy and like obnoxious man, and he just keeps saying the most like ridiculous things to her. Like he's like, oh my god, you're my dream woman, except for your arms. Like your arms are a little too flabby for me. And just like the most out of pocket, like what the fuck is wrong with you kind of comments. And he's just clearly an asshole, you know, like she tries to get away from him at the end of the date and then he's all like, I paid for your dinner and you're not gonna give me a kiss, even though he didn't even pay for her. And like, ew, that's disgusting, that's rude. She said she wouldn't even hug him, and then he was like trying to like throw himself at her. And luckily this other guy was there and he kind of like intervened and told the guy to like fuck off, and so the guy left. But now she's worried that that guy might be like still lingering around, like I don't know. And now she's trying to get to know this man that like saved her. She's like, oh my god, you're my hero. She like wants to try to like find him so that she can date him. I don't know, it's kind of random. But then in between the chapters of Sydney, you know, in the present day, we get these flashback chapters of this guy named Tom. And Tom, from what I'm understanding, he's like a teenager in these flashback chapters that we're getting of him, and he's obsessed with this young girl named Daisy. And reading from the perspective of him, like you are totally reading from the perspective of like a psychopath, stalker, like probably future serial killer point of view here. He's like, I literally can't imagine any girl being as perfectly beautiful as Daisy. Like the writing is just kind of basic. Like, I don't know, it's not great writing, but you get the gist is that he's obsessed with this young girl named Daisy, but he keeps like imagining himself like killing her. And so like you just know that this young kid, Tom, is gonna like grow up to be a serial killer. And so I'm hoping that it's not as obvious as it feels right now, like what's going on. I just think, I don't know, Frida McFadden, like her writing is very readable. You know, like I feel like her books are very easy to read, they're easy to get into, and they're entertaining for the most part, but I just think the writing is not very good. Like I'll read you an example of like what I mean with like the quality of writing that we're getting here. When she says, I miss having a boyfriend. I miss cuddling on the sofa. I miss having a warm body next to me in my bed every night as I drift off to sleep. I miss, well, you know, that. Like, what the fuck? I don't know, like her sentences are just so like basic, simplistic. There's like a real lack of any depth, you know, to any of these scenes or these characters. And now I'm 24% of the way into the book. I don't know if I mentioned that, but now we are getting to the point where like something thrilling and interesting has happened in the present day timeline with Sydney. I don't know if the description like tells you what happens, so I'm not gonna tell you exactly what happened, but like let's just say something thrilling happened. Now there's a detective involved. So there's kind of, you know, a lot of different things happening. Like I'm not hating this book. Like I don't think the writing is very good, but at least it's been like entertaining so far. It's holding my attention. I'm just worried because I feel like this setup is like very obvious to me what's going on. So I'm hoping that there's something a little bit more unexpected going on in this book, but I fear that it might not go that way. But I'm going to read a little bit more of this afternoon. And then tonight, me, Rachel, and Obed are going to be starting on Squid Game season 2, which I am so freaking excited about because Squid Game is one of my top favorite shows of all time, and I've been desperately waiting for season 2 for like 3+ years now. And so like you could say my expectations are a little bit high. Like I'm kind of nervous that the show won't live up to the expectations that I have, but like I can't believe we have 7 new episodes of Squid Game to watch tonight. Like, oh my god, this is what dreams are made of. many hours later, it is now about 10:30 at night. Rachel and Obed ended up picking up tacos from the taco truck for dinner, and it was so good. And we watched 5 episodes of Squid Game season 2 tonight. And the good news is that Squid Game is so good. Oh my god, I'm already obsessed with season 2. I feel like season 2 has everything that I loved about season 1. Like, I feel like the show still has really great characters, really great social commentary, and just like really sad, you know, like social commentary about how like people that are struggling or people that are poor will like literally do anything that they can to get out of their situations, even if it means putting their own life at risk. Oh my god, I just continue to love Squid Game. I think this new season is so good. It's so strong. We only have 2 episodes left and we're probably gonna watch those tomorrow night. Yeah, the bad news is that I just finished reading The Boyfriend. Oh my god, what the heck? I do not understand why this book is as popular as it is, okay? I just don't. I don't really get the hype with Frida McFadden. You know, this entire second half of the book, I was debating between like 2 stars and 1 star because I was like, is it really that bad? Like, am I gonna give this 1 star? At the beginning of this book, I was saying like, oh, it's actually not that bad and it's kind of entertaining, which I do think the first half of this book is like entertaining enough, but then the second half of this book just becomes so frustrating because this protagonist is so annoying and she's so frustrating. Like, she just ignores every single red flag and she's just such a dumb bitch. Like, I'm sorry, but she's such a dumb bitch. Like, why is she like this? Like, I just could not stand reading from her perspective. It's like she just ignores all of the red flags and everything going wrong and just like makes up shit in her head. There was one line that was genuinely so dumb that I was like, what are you actually talking about? It really just made me laugh because there was one scene where she like finds a scrunchie and she's like, oh my god, like she thinks she knows who the scrunchie belonged to because she's like, I don't know anybody else who wears scrunchies. And she says, who even wears scrunchies these days? Like, are you fucking for real, bitch? Every girl that I know wears scrunchies. Like, what the fuck are you even talking about? It was just so ridiculous. Like, the second half of this book was so ridiculous. And I was going back and forth between 2 stars or 1 star because there were moments where I was like feeling the rage. Like, I was mad and that was making me want to give it 1 star. But then I will admit that there was a twist at the end that was not the most obvious thing of all time, which is why it almost made me want to like bump it up to 2 stars because I was a little surprised. But I also think the twist itself, like when you really think about it, it's so nonsensical. And I feel like in order for me to feel like impressed by a good twist, the twist needs to like make sense, you know? And this twist for me, it just didn't really make sense. Like, I did not vibe with the choice of this plot twist. There was a lot of decisions being made by the main character that I'm like, you're either a fucking idiot or this is just written in a way where it's very convenient for the author, right? An example of the main character being a freaking idiot is when like her ex-boyfriend, that's like, you know, a detective or a cop, he's like, hey, let me know if I can do a background search on any of these guys that you're dating, you know, because she's dating new guys. And she's literally just like, I'm sorry, but my social life is none of your business. I don't need you to do a background check on anyone. Why are you being dumb? Like, I'm sorry, but if you have an ex-boyfriend who's like more than willing to help you and do background checks on guys that you're dating when you know that there's some weird shit going on. It was also like one of those situations where I feel like as the reader, you're learning information at a quicker speed. Like, the main character can't keep up. Like, there would be so many moments where like you understand what's happening like a page or 2 before the protagonist is realizing what's happening. So she'll be like, wait, is this what's gonna happen? And you're like, yeah, like keep up. So I didn't like the writing style in this at all. Like in the second half, oh my god, it just got so cheesy. And the main character was so incredibly frustrating because she couldn't keep up with like what was happening. But I also think that I am gonna give this book 1 star. Like, I'm sorry, I have to give this 1 star because of the way that this book ended. Like, are you fucking kidding me? What? That was the most unsatisfying ending to a thriller that I've read in such a long time. Like, we did not get the kind of resolution that I feel like I deserved. What the fuck? Like, is this book supposed to get a sequel or something? Like, actually, what the fuck was that ending? Like, now I'm mad. You know, I knew that by reading a Frida McFadden, I was setting myself up for potential failure because I know that there are a lot of people who say her thrillers just are not that good. But like, they're popular, you know, for some reason. Frida McFadden has like a huge fan base. Like, there are tons of people that rate this book super highly on Goodreads, and I just don't see it personally. And maybe this is just because I read so many thrillers that maybe you could say like I've seen it all before and nothing really surprises me, but like this book was just so nonsensical, and it sucks that I'm already giving a 1-star book so early in the year of my 2025 reading. Like, are you freaking kidding me? And I know you're probably wondering, well, if I wasn't having a great time in the second half, then like why did I even finish it? I was just really curious to see how it was gonna end, and I was really curious to see if Frida McFadden can like redeem herself herself at the ending of this book and give me an ending that I didn't see coming. But no, unfortunately, the ending was so unsatisfying that it feels like it was a complete waste of time now. But anyway, tomorrow morning I'm going grocery shopping with my sister. We really need it because we are almost out of like completely everything that we need. So unfortunately, I have to go to the grocery store in the morning. What the heck? Okay, hello, it is the next day. I have a few things to update you on because yesterday I did go grocery shopping with my sister, and it was really cool because when we were in the parking lot of the grocery store, there was a car that like pulled up right next to us, and it was like this husband and his wife, and they had 3 dogs in the back seat that were like so freaking cute. And we were staring at them, like we were full blown like staring like, oh my god, so cute. And he noticed that we were staring, so he was like, do you guys want to pet them? And he opened the back door, and like the dogs came running out, and it was 2 little English bulldogs that were so chunky and so cute, and they were only 15 weeks old. And then they also had another little dog, and it was just so sweet. Like they let us play with their dogs in the parking lot. We were talking to them for a while, and they were just really, really kind people. We were like, happy holidays. And the grocery store was like freaking dead, which was also really nice. But yesterday ended up being a really busy day because I ended up filming my entire stats video yesterday, and then I ended up editing the entire stats video yesterday. Oh my god, it took me like literally forever to do that. So if you haven't watched my stats video, I would really appreciate if you gave it a watch because the stats video is just so much fun for me. It's really interesting to see all of my stats from the end of the year and just getting the actual numbers. It's like, it does something to my brain. It's just so tingly, you know, I love it. But anyway, last night we ended up finishing season 2 of Squid Game, and I thought season 2 of Squid Game was like so freaking good. I feel like they had all of the same feelings from the first season of like that dread, that feeling of doom, like, oh my god, and the way that you care about the characters. I just feel like it was so well done, and all of the social commentary was very on point. I think my only issue with the second season of Squid Game was actually the finale. Like, I don't know, I wasn't the biggest fan of the final episode. I feel like there was just some things I wanted a little bit more of. But either way, like, I think it was a very solid second season overall, and I really had a great time watching it. But I wanted to update you because I have started on Intermezzo by Sally Rooney, and I got about 80 pages into this last night. It really kills me to say that I'm not loving this so far. Like, I'm finding this to be okay. You know, it's so crazy because I want to be a Sally Rooney girl so bad, and because like I do tend to love literary fiction books that are just kind of like sad, kind of like character studies that like don't really have a lot of plot. And so I don't know what it is about Sally Rooney's writing that I just don't really connect with. But in this story, we're following these 2 brothers. We're following Peter and Ivan, and the thing is that they're about like 10 years apart, or maybe even more than that. The brother Peter, he's a lawyer and he's in his 30s, and then the younger brother Ivan, he's only 22 and he's a competitive chess player. And Ivan, the younger brother, he has like a relationship that's happening with a much older woman, but the thing that's connecting them in this book is that their father has recently passed away, and so they're both kind of, you know, connected by their grief. And I don't know, the story is just kind of like, it's one of those stories that, you know, like I said, it doesn't really feel like it has much of a plot. It's almost just like a stream of consciousness of just getting into the head and the minds of these characters. And like, while there have been some beautiful moments in the writing, like, I do love some of the quotes that I've already pulled from this book. Like, I have been making some tabs. I love when he says, what if life is just a collection of essentially unrelated experiences? Why does one thing have to follow meaningfully from another? Like, I think that's a really beautiful and thought-provoking quote. I also love this other quote when she says, life has slipped free of its netting. I know the writing of this book is good. Like, there's no arguing that. I think the writing in the book is really good. I think it must be for me that there's a kind of like pretentiousness to this writing style that I just don't particularly care for. I mean, you know, Sally Rooney is known for doing the thing where like she doesn't put any quotations around the dialogue, which has always just been an artistic choice that has like really bothered me. I don't know, I find it so annoying. I mean, luckily I do have the audiobook that I'm listening to. I was gonna try to read this book without the audiobook, but then I was like, hell no. Because for me, the decision to like not put any quotations around the dialogue, it makes it so confusing sometimes. Like I have to keep rereading the sentence to be like, oh, that was somebody speaking. And it's just an artsy choice that I just don't really care for in this book. And so the audiobook is definitely helping with that because I don't tend to notice as much the lack of quotation marks when I'm listening to it. But then I also think like, I don't know, the writing style in general just really bothers me in this book because what the heck is this? It's such a pet peeve of mine when authors just have these huge chunky blocks of text. Like, can you not break it up with some paragraphs, please? Like the run-on sentences like this, oh my god, there are so many pages already that look like this. I'm like, what? What is the reason? I also feel like, you know, at nearly 100 pages in now, I don't feel particularly connected to either Ivan or Peter as characters. And I don't know if that's because of the writing style, like why I'm not connecting with this one as much right away. But like, oh my god, dude, I want to be a Sally Rooney girl. Like, I want to get it. I'm going to keep reading this book, even though so far it's not really pulling me in, but I'm hoping that there will be something about the story that I really connect with. You know, like I'm hoping that as I continue reading, I'll better get a grasp on the story and I'll be able to appreciate it more. But right now, it's kind of feeling like meh. Like I don't hate it, but I'm not loving this the way that so many people seem to love Sally Rooney. So that's my update. I'm a bit sad about it if you can't tell. Anyway, I'm going to continue working on some things this afternoon. I just filmed my January and February TBR video, so I need to get that edited tonight. And then there's a chance that I also need to get another video filmed and edited soon. I just have so much filming and editing to do these last couple of days. I don't have as much time to read, but I think I would like to go to the gym this afternoon. And while I'm on the way to the gym, I need to go pick up a library hold. So I think I'm going to continue listening to this one while I do all of the things tonight. I also just got my delivery from HelloFresh, so I'm definitely going to be making that for dinner tonight. I can't wait. Been, I don't know, like 2 to 3 days since the last time that I updated you because I have still been reading Intermezzo. I actually just hit part 2 of this book last night and I'm now 218 pages into this. And like, I am so sorry to do this. Like, I really didn't want to have to kick off 2025 with the DNF, but I think that I have to DNF this book after 218 pages because I am just not having a fun time with this. And the idea of trying to read another 200 pages of this book right now is making me like not want to read. It is way too early in the year to get put into a reading slump. But you know, I am glad, okay? I am glad that I gave this book a fair shot and that I tried again. Because for a while there, I was starting to wonder, like, is Sally Rooney just not for me? Or am I missing something with her writing? And I mean, there's a good chance that I'm definitely missing something because I just don't really get it. I don't know, I'm not really connecting with these characters. I mean, like, if I had to pick out of the 2 brothers that we're following in this book, probably be the younger brother because I do like the younger brother's story a little bit more, or I'm just like slightly more invested in his chapters. because he's the one that has like a relationship with an older woman, and it is a little bit more interesting. But even still, like, these characters together, like, they're not doing anything for me. I'm frustrated though that I'm not liking this book because I can tell that the writing itself is like really beautiful. It's very thought-provoking at times. There will be like a few moments where I'll be like, oh wow, like maybe I should get out my tab because that's like a really beautiful, thought-provoking and interesting way to look at something. And that's why I think it makes me so sad that I want to DNF this book, because I do think that there are moments where this book has some redeeming qualities. You know, like, I do think there are moments that I'm like, oh wow, like the writing is really good right there. The rest of it just feels so bleak and dull and boring, and because I'm not connecting with any of the characters, it is just so slow and it's so boring. I definitely think in a literary fiction book like this, where there is no plot essentially, in order to connect to the story, I think you really need to connect to the characters, you know, because it's like, what else is there to connect to if not the characters? And since the writing style is just so dense at times, and like the writing style just in general is really not working for me. Like, I don't want to have to finish this book and then rate it low, because I don't think that this is a bad book. I just know in my bones that it's like not really for me. It's not really my style of a book. I know that that's so crazy to say, you know, because I do usually like literary fiction that revolves around siblings and like has themes of grief and like all these kinds of things, but I don't know why. It's just Sally Rooney's writing style in particular that still doesn't work for me. I'm sorry that this one has to be a DNF. So the only book that I have left on my TBR for this video is going to be Ministry of Time, which I do have the audiobook for. I actually looked and the audiobook's available on Spotify, so I'm going to be listening to this one as an audiobook on Spotify. I also was able to get this book checked out from my library on my Kindle as an ebook. So I think I want to get started on this one today. You know, I was just going to stay in because I really needed to get some video editing done and like a few different things done today. But then I was also like, oh my gosh, like I have spent the last few days in a row in this apartment. Like I haven't really left the apartment recently other than like going to the gym and like that's it. So I was like, you know what? No, like today I need to get out of this apartment. I don't even know what I want to do today. I just need to get out of here. I mean, it is raining today, so like I can't realistically go and like sit in a park somewhere. So I'm probably just gonna end up sitting in my car in a parking lot somewhere. Either way, I think it'll be nice to, you know, get out of the apartment, go and do something, you know, literally go and touch grass. I think I need to go and touch grass for real. And I'm gonna get started on Ministry of Time, and hopefully this one will be a win. Hello, it is almost 2 o'clock in the afternoon right now. I don't know if you can hear the freaking rain that is coming down on my car right now. I was gonna try to like wait it out and, you know, see if it stopped raining so that I could like walk around the park a little bit, but no, it's been raining the entire time that I've been here, and it's supposed to be raining solidly until like 8 p.m. tonight. But you know, that doesn't stop the people of Washington from coming out to the park. There's still been like a lot of kids running around, you know, like a lot of people wearing full, you know, like rain gear and just out here enjoying the park. So like, good for them. But I wanted to update you because I have been listening to the Ministry of Time and reading along on my Kindle, and I've gotten exactly 100 pages in, and I am so excited to tell you that I am really enjoying this one so far, like even more than I thought I would. I was a little nervous about this one because I don't read sci-fi super often anymore, but it is a genre that I do enjoy, especially when it's something like this with like time travel. I think it's very fun. So in this story, we're following from the perspective of this woman who works for the government, and she works for the Ministry of Time. And basically what they do is they pool what they call expats from different time periods because they figured out how time travel works, and they want to make sure that it's like safe to use. So basically what they've been doing is that they're pulling people out of like different periods of history that would have died. They know that these people were on like expeditions or they were doing something where they were about to get killed, and so they pull them out of those situations before they get killed, so they don't feel like they're interfering with like history at all, because like they're not changing anything about history because these people would have died anyway. And so our main protagonist, she gets paired with this guy named Commander Gore, and he's gonna be her bridge. So basically there are 5 different people that they've pulled from like different times of history, and Commander Gore, he was born in 1809 and he would have died in 1847, so that's like the time period that they pulled him from. And oh my gosh, I'm just like loving it so far. It's so funny. One of the things that I love the most in books is kind of like the fish out of water trope, you know, like where you have a character who's like not really human or like not from the same time period or something like that, and they're kind of like trying to understand humanity and like the way the world works now. Oh my god, this guy's cracking me up. Like he's freaking hilarious. Like all of his one-liners, like his character's just so entertaining, and it's kind of cool because our main protagonist and then this guy, they have to be housemates because she has to keep an eye on him and like take track of everything that he's doing and kind of like writing down like how he's adjusting to the world and like all these different things. Like he calls an airplane a ship of the sky, and he's like, wow, so many people can fit in that little arrow. And his one-liners when he's like asking her if she can swim, and he's like, if I push you in the river, will it be murder? And then when they're like having lunch and she's on her phone, he's like, put that machine away, we are lunching. Like, he's just so funny. I don't know, he has so many one-liners that are just cracking me up. I think it's also interesting though, because I do feel like this book has some interesting commentary, because it's saying how like they're spending a lot of time trying to explain to these expats that they've like pulled out of history why they can't use slurs anymore. And it is interesting because our protagonist, she's biracial, but she's been talked about as being like white passing, whereas like there's only one other black woman who also works for the Ministry of Time. And because, you know, like they're pulling all these people from history, like they don't understand that like you cannot use these words anymore. So there's been some interesting conversation about that. I think there's also some really interesting like sci-fi bits of the book where they kind of talk about how, you know, traveling through time can affect you psychologically, and how it could affect your ability to feel empathy and just like your mental state in general, because like you're not experiencing time at the regular rate that you're supposed to. So that's why it's interesting that they're doing these like scientific experiments on these people to see like how this has affected them to just jump through time like this. There was also like a really cool quote about history. History is not a series of causes and effects which may be changed like switching trains on a track. It is a narrative agreement about what has happened and what is happening. They said history is what we need to happen. You talk about changing history, but you're trying to change the future, which I just thought was very interesting and very thought-provoking. I don't know, I'm liking this way more than I thought I would. Like, this is actually giving me maybe 5-star energy so far. At 100 pages in right now, it feels like things are even starting to like shift in the story, like some action is about to pick up or something like that, and I'm like, whoa. I'm just already mind blown by how connected I'm feeling to these characters. Like, I really like our main protagonist, and I really like this guy, Commander Gore. His name is Graham. He's just very funny, like very entertaining. I just love that trope so much of like seeing a character trying to like adjust to human life today. It's very, very fun for me. And so this is exactly the kind of book that I love in sci-fi. Like, it is so rare that I read sci-fi, but when it comes to books like this, it really makes me want to read more sci-fi because of how much I'm loving it. So like, that's exciting. After the experience that I just had this morning with DNFing Intermezzo, I'm so glad that I'm loving this book as much as I am. Anyways, I think I'm going to head back home because as much as I would love to stay out here, it's just so wet out here. I had to close both of my windows because water was like getting into my car, and now I'm just feeling a little bit like wet and miserable, and I also am kind of hungry. I want to make avocado toast because I got burrata cheese the other day at the store and I still haven't used it. It is several hours later. I am home from the park. I ended up washing my hair and I've just been laying in bed still listening to The Ministry of Time on audio, and I'm now 65% of the way through the audiobook. I just hit chapter 7 and I'm on page 223, and so I thought I would give you a quick update because I feel like a lot has been going on in this story. I was definitely wrong before when I was like about 100 pages in and I was like, oh, the action is starting to pick up, because that was wrong. Like, I don't know why I was feeling like the momentum of the story was picking up, but it really wasn't. I do think that the last 100 pages of the book or so have been a little bit more slow paced. I don't know, the pacing of the book for me is starting to slow down a little bit, but I also like really love these characters so much that I don't think I mind. I mean, I could see how somebody, you know, reading this book as a sci-fi book would find the pacing of the book to be really slow, because I don't think there's a lot that's going on plot-wise. This definitely feels like a story that's more character driven, and there's even some like romantic elements to this. Like, it feels kind of like a slow burn romance, which I'm actually enjoying those elements of this book a lot. I feel like the sci-fi in this book is very, very light sci-fi, but that's honestly kind of like what I prefer in my sci-fi books. So I'm still having a really great time with it. I think my only complaints with it right now is that the chapters are so freaking long. I mean, I just hit chapter 7 of the book and I'm 220 pages in. So like the chapters are incredibly long, which is a thing that I don't usually enjoy, but maybe because I'm listening to this one on audio, it's not bothering me, I think, as much as it would if I was just trying to read it physically. There are also like bits in the chapter where at the very end of the chapter, we will get his perspective for like a tiny little bit in his life during that time period. And like, to be honest, those parts of the book feel the most unnecessary to me, or I guess they're the parts of the book that I'm like the least invested in. Luckily, those parts are short, so it's not bothering me too much. I've heard that the ending of this book just gets absolutely crazy, so like we'll have to see how I feel about the rest of it. But right now it's still going well. Like I don't know if I'm still planning to give this 5 stars like at this moment in time. I feel like because the pacing feels like it's starting to slow down, like I'm just ready for things to pick up in the story at this point. We'll have to see how the rest goes, but I'm still enjoying this book quite a bit. Hello, it is now the next afternoon. It's almost been a full 24 hours since I last updated you. Last night, my sister made the most amazing like beef roast sandwiches. So that was like the last vlog clip that you saw because like, oh my god, they were so delicious. I just had to show them off. But I did want to let you know that I just finished listening to the audiobook for Ministry of Time. And like, wow, what a freaking story this was, man. I've seen so many people say that this book feels like this author packed like 20 billion ideas into like one book, and I would kind of have to agree with that because I do think at times like the tone of this book is all over the place, you know, because at times it does read like a sci-fi book, and then at times it kind of reads like a romance book. At times it kind of reads like cozy, kind of like slice of life, almost like literary fiction, and then at times, especially towards the end, it starts to read almost like a spy thriller question mark. And I also see how some people can read this book and find it maybe kind of frustrating because I feel like a lot of the elements of like the time travel, like it's never really explained, or at least not explained in a way that makes a lot of sense to me. I ended up really enjoying this. Like, I don't know, I'd probably give this 4 stars. I don't think it was the perfect 5-star book for me for a few different reasons. Like, I think the ending definitely started to lose me a little bit. I think there was some stuff happening at the end that went a little bit over my head and that I was just like, I don't know, I was losing interest a little bit in the end of the story, especially in like that last third of the story. But overall, I really liked this. Like, I don't know, I really connected with the characters. I thought the writing was really fun, and there was something really, I don't know, I want to say cozy about the writing, but I don't think that's the right word. Like, I don't think it was necessarily cozy, but it made me feel cozy to be listening to it. I don't know, I ended up really liking both of these characters, and I was actually into the romance, which surprised me. Like, I didn't think that I was gonna be like invested in the romance in this book, but I kind of was. Like, they were really cute. I can definitely see though how if you're reading this from the perspective of somebody who maybe like reads a lot of sci-fi and you expected this to be a lot more of like heavy sci-fi and like cool time travel, like it's definitely not that kind of story. This one is definitely a more like light sci-fi story where like the time travel is really cool, but it's also never really explained, and it's a lot more of like a character driven story, and like there's a lot more focus on the romance and the characters, which I actually really liked about it. But overall, I am very impressed at what this author was able to accomplish with a story like this, because I do think this is one of those rare stories where like it's kind of hard to fit it into a box, you know, like genre wise. And I'm so glad that this book ended up winning the sci-fi category at the Goodreads Choice Awards, even though I don't know if like by this book winning the sci-fi award, if it's going to be good for it or bad for it, because people might be expecting something different from this book because it ended up winning the sci-fi award. But I had a really fun time with it. I don't know, I am very impressed. So wow, my year of 2025 reading is kicking off with some chaos, that is for sure. I mean, I cannot believe that in this video I already had a 5-star book, and I had a 1 star, and I had a DNF, and then I had a 4-star. But I feel like I'm starting my reading year pretty strong. If you've read any of the books that I read during this reading vlog, then definitely let me know what you think about them. And thank you so much for watching and for hanging out. And in just a few days, like the next video that you're gonna see from me is my first Winterween vlog. How exciting that Winterween is only a few days away now. If you missed the announcement for Winterween, I will have it linked down below, but it's a readathon that's gonna be kicking off in just a few days on January 10th, so I hope that you'll be able to join me for that. But thank you so much for watching as always, and I will see you very soon with another video. Bye!